You are now tuning in to the Roughnecks Podcast with your host, Cole Nixon. Much love.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to a bonus episode. This is a bonus episode of the podcast, and it is a bonus episode because as you are listening to this, today is the 3-year anniversary of the Roughnecks Podcast. Not sure how it's been 3 years. The episode number, don't look at the episode number because it is not correct due to me not getting episodes out in time, but we are, as of this point, 189 episodes. Actually, right before we're recording this, I just recorded 190. So 190 episodes recorded, 189 released, and a lot more to come. We've had a Roughnecks volleyball tournament. We've had all kinds of different Roughnecks merch. There has been a ton of stuff. And joining me today for the 3-year anniversary episode, bonus episode, Dante and Reno. Couldn't have done this without you guys as well. I appreciate you guys.
Let's go, baby! 300.
How we doing?
We're the Spartans in here.
Yeah, I
How's
don't
my
know
audio,
how-
boys? Good?
It's a little rough. You sounded better.
Golly.
It sounds like you're on your phone. It sounded better when you weren't using it.
All right, this is better.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that'll work.
Jesus Christ, bro. All right, what's up,
It's
fellas?
also been 3 years of that, so that's normal. 3 years of equipment failures and trial and error.
Ridiculous.
So, told you guys I have something special for you guys today. Kind of, sort of. I'm calling you guys out
Oh,
on
boy.
fantasy football. Reno, you have me this week. I'm calling a bet out for you and me. Dante, we are facing each other in October. I'm putting a bet. I don't know what the bet is yet, but I want to put a bet on who wins. So, like, winner has to pay the other one, or the loser has to do something. I don't know what we should do. If you guys have ideas, shoot them at me. But I'm calling you guys out that I'm going to beat you because I am undefeated at the moment.
Well, guess who else is undefeated at the moment? And guess who's going to stay undefeated? I am.
We'll see.
My team has a bunch of dogs on there.
You were worried that first week. That first week, you did not think you were going to be able to do well.
No, I'm always skeptical the first week. I never know what's about to happen. But now, no, we're comfortable, baby.
Yeah, my team's been shit in the bed, fellas.
You're 1-1, aren't you, or are you 0-2?
1-1.
That's
But
it.
I
okay.
was saying, Cole, another bet that I have in another fantasy league I'm in, whoever gets the lowest amount of points has to shotgun a tall boy before the Thursday night game. So if we could, me and you can do that bet. If you really want to make that bet, though, I think my team's really going to come alive here. So it's totally up to you.
Yeah, so actually, let me look at this because I think I have the dates flipped on here, but let me see when we actually play each other. Because I want to have these dates right. But Dante, I am down with that. Loser has to shotgun a tall boy
Bet.
of choice, but it has to be
on it.
at least what 24 ounces is a tall boy?
Yep.
Well, see, that sucks for me because Bush does 25, so
Okay.
Extra.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Little extra.
yeah, that extra one ounce. Let's see. When do I play? Yeah, this week I have you, Dante. So me and Dante play against each other this week.
Oh,
so
you got real lucky.
yeah,
Damn, that's brutal.
after Monday, we'll decide, and the loser has to post the video to the Roughnecks Instagram, so it'll be out there.
Woo!
And then Reno, what do you want to do? We don't face each other until October 15th.
Dang. I kind of like you have to post about it.
Okay. You have to post that. Kind of do you want to do what the loser kind of has to do, but you have to post and say X person is better than me at fantasy football.
Well, yeah. I mean, you're gonna just have to post like Reno's better than me at fantasy football. So I mean, just go ahead and get that drafted up now.
You might as well, yeah, Cole. Just get that scheduled, bro. Just get it scheduled. All good.
It'll be too easy. It's too. I got Kirk Cousins, T.J. Hopkinson, same team. Those two just been connecting. They're on fire right now.
Well, you think Kirk Cousins is your franchise QB, bud?
I do. I don't know. I think that Netflix documentary got me sold on Kirk Cousins. I love Kirk Cousins now.
No, I do too.
Joe Burrow thinking it was going to be a good idea, and it's been terrible.
Yeah, Joe Burrow has not gotten me any points, and that's why I'm shotgunning a 24-ounce or a tall boy this Thursday because I scored lowest week 1.
You know what I saw one league do is if you play a player that gets 0 points, then you gotta chug one.
Yeah, we are implementing that rule. I'm putting that in the group chat when I make it tonight, hopefully.
Yeah, make that group chat. I got some shit to talk.
I was going to do it that night. I texted you for all the numbers and then I got sidetracked to volleyball and completely forgot. But yeah, the group chat will get made. Shit'll be talked. But we have bets placed now. So
let's go.
We'll see how they go.
I'm going to share that everywhere. I'm going to share your post about me everywhere, Cole.
We'll see. I'm still the one holding the belt, so I don't think that really counts. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen, go over to Instagram because I'll be posting it. I haven't posted it as we speak, but I did a revealing of the fantasy belt, and that thing is badass.
It's sick.
Trophy Smack, you need to sponsor us. But 3 years of the podcast, and I wanted to ask you guys kind of why you agreed to come be a part of the podcast, because I kind of, like, I'm not trying to say this cockily, but, like, it was my show, and I asked you guys to come be a part of it. What was the deciding factor? Like, kind of what made you guys want to do it?
I don't know, Cole, our relationship was a little different, I think, because I started, I'm so bad with social media, dude. Like, I'm so bad with it. I hate social media, honestly, but I know it's important. I know that's like the future, so I try to stay up to date with it. But like when I started posting content, I could not stand like making a nice picture and doing the editing and making a nice caption for it. So I started just turning my phone around and just talking to my phone straight up, just like my face, me talking, like that's it. And then you reached out, you're like, hey, I kind of do this as well on like my Friday episodes, my Fast Friday episodes. Do you want to sort of take it over? And me, selfishly, I'll tell you exactly what I did. I went and researched everything about you, Cole. I went and researched everything about the Roughnecks podcast. I listened to a whole bunch of episodes. I'm like, I got to make sure I need to make sure I'm not getting myself into something that I don't necessarily agree with. It took me one episode. I'm like, oh my God, this is perfect.
Do you remember which episode it was?
It was, the first one I listened to was Coach Sev. Because I was scrolling down, I'm like, all right, who's some names I know? I was like, oh, Coach Sev. Like, hell yeah, come on, listen to what Coach Sev's got to say. I listened to that one. I'm like, perfect. Then I listened to like a couple other ones, a couple of your Fast Fridays. I'm like, dang, this aligns like perfectly. You're a really good host. Your message out there was so like was great. I loved hearing everything that you had to say. It all makes sense. It was all relatable. It wasn't anything like fake either. And so I was like, heck yeah, dude, I'd love to be part of this. I love sort of the culture that you build around it. So that's why I said yes, for sure. For sure. But I had to do my research first.
I think that's very
passed
important.
My research.
What about you, Dante?
For me, honestly, I feel like being a part of like early episodes, being a part of the first Q&A episode, really, I mean, I knew you started it. I knew podcasting was huge, and I've always wanted to have a podcast or at least be on a podcast. And you inviting me on that first like Q&A episode really kind of, especially during the times that you invited me on that, it was like mid-COVID, it was like a point where you really weren't connecting with a lot of people. So it really just opened my mind to a point where, hey, on this podcast, you can connect with people that maybe you're not going to talk to on a day-to-day basis. And also, I mean, Cole, I love you, man. It's just like, I wanted to be a part of whatever you were forming with the Roughnecks podcast. And I'm so happy that I can be a part of this and kind of just watch it grow from, I wouldn't say I wasn't here from the ground up, but at least from the early stages, I've seen how much it's grown, and to be a part of it just makes me feel warm inside, even though that's kind of cliche. It just makes me feel really warm inside. It's just the fact that it's a great thing that you're doing. It's a great brand that you're building, and I'm just ecstatic to be a part of it. And I'm glad that you asked me to be a part of it. So I appreciate you, Cole.
Hey, I appreciate you guys. It wouldn't be possible, especially now, like with the growth. I know, like we've talked about growth and stuff, and we haven't seen exactly what we want, but like I feel like we could get 1 million views a day, and it'd be like, all right, well, we only got 900,000 today. This is bullcrap. Like, so like you're always gonna want more growth, but like the growth that I've had since bringing you guys being a part of it has been like substantial, and it's just like helps take a little bit of the workload off of me, which is nice. You know, sometimes you have to delegate those things out, which is kind of what I did, but it kind of at the same time, like I wanted people that I felt like embodied like what the podcast was and the message that, which we don't have like a clear message per se. Like, yeah, we have grabbed the bull by the horns, but like it's like I feel like our message is kind of like have fun, but like you also have life. Like you have like our drinking episodes. Like, yeah, we get on there and clown. Like our last one, we were all over the place, but there was so much great real life advice in that podcast, and also just goofing around, which is what life is. Like you have to be serious at times. You have to goof around. Like you don't want to be too much of one or the other, or you'll start to slip. So that's why I brought you guys on, and you guys are the perfect like combination too of the people that I wanted to bring on. And so I appreciate you guys. But I wanted to ask too, what is your favorite episode that you personally have been a part of, and what is your favorite episode that you have maybe not been a part of but listened to?
My favorite episode that we were part of is that drinking episode, dude. The Hold My Beer. I mean, that was so much fun, dude. And I honestly forgot we were recording throughout like the whole thing, which makes it like authentic. You know what I mean? Like we weren't faking. We didn't have like an agenda. Like, yeah, we had set questions here and there, but
I don't think we actually followed our script necessarily.
Yeah, not at all. It was just a lot of fun. It was good to get out, good to hang out with you guys. And then the one that I wasn't part of, it's got to be the Nick Lavery one. Bro, that guy's story is insane. Insane. And just the way he talks, like the way he like goes about his business, you could tell he's so serious. He gets it. He's gone through some shit and like loves telling people about it, just so other people can learn from it too. And it's like super hardcore. Like it kind of opens your eyes like, oh man, my bad day isn't that bad compared to that guy's bad day.
Exactly. Yeah. Nick Lavery is probably one of like my favorite guests, especially like guests that I didn't know, because like I didn't know him all. I just heard him. He was on Jocko's podcast, and then he was on Andy Stump's podcast, which are two ex-Navy SEALs. And I listened to theirs, and I was in a state of shock. Like I couldn't believe when I emailed him. I was at a wedding. Sierra was like in the wedding as one of the bridesmaids. So I was like, it was after the wedding part. So I was waiting for her to do all of their pictures and whatever. And I was sitting there at a table because I knew nobody at this wedding. So I was just standing there at a table by myself drinking a beer. And I'm standing there and I was like, yeah, I'll just shoot him an email. And then like the next couple days, I got an email back, and I was like, this isn't real. Like I literally went and checked the email because I'm like, this isn't a real email. Like this is fake or something. And I was like, holy crap, it's real. And I remember texting my brother-in-law because he loves Jocko's podcast, and told him like, I got Nick Lavery. Or he was like, who? And I was like, you remember the Boston guy with the accent that was on Jocko's podcast? And he was like, yeah, he did this, this, and this. I was like, yeah, he's coming on the podcast. He's like, how the hell did you do that? And I was like, shoot or shoot. You just got to shoot your shot.
Yeah, there you go. It worked.
Exactly. What about you, Dante?
I would say, honestly, I kind of have, the episode that I've been a part of, I definitely would say the last Hold My Beer with both of you. Dude, I had an absolute blast. At times, like, you get the alcohol flowing, and I feel like sometimes we, like, in those episodes, after we're recording, it's like, hold on, did we actually talk about anything? And like re-listening to it, it's just like the amount of like wisdom that we shared in that episode while we were still having a really good time. Like, of course, we were hanging out, it was kind of like we were sitting around a fire, but we shared a lot of wisdom, a lot of like really solid points in that episode. But I would also say a close second, and this is just for funny reasons, would be me, you, and Scott's episode. And that's just because it was so funny, man. Like, the routes we took in conversation absolutely cracked me up. And it just kind of like, how did we get here? And then you listen back, it's like, oh, it was like one thing that someone said, and then it just went on a complete rabbit hole of complete utter, like, not I wouldn't say bullshit, but just like, what are we actually talking about here? And I loved that. And then, oh, Reno, you stole my episode, my favorite episode. But if I had a close second, I would just go Coach Sev, and why that's relatable is because Coach Sev's kind of the one person that has told me, or told everyone that he's coached, how do you handle adversity? And he touched on it in the episode a little bit, and it's the Nick Lavery episode is really, hey, how do you handle adversity? He was looking at adversity in his eyes, and how did he handle that? He decided to get the fuck up and handle it like you should handle adversity. And I don't know. I really love Coach Sev, and I think every what am I trying to say? Every lesson that he was trying to teach while he was coaching, I feel like it didn't really stick with me when I was a player, just because, I mean, young, dumb. It's hard to really grasp everything that someone older is trying to tell you in the moment. But like looking back on it, like not re-listening, but just reimagining the things he was trying to tell us. It's just great advice, great life advice, great football advice. And it just really teaches you how to be a human and live your life day to day. So I would say, yeah, Coach Sev is the close second episode. I would choose Nick Lavery. I actually listened to that whole entire episode today again while I was at work. And it kind of made me, I don't know, it made me buckle down a little bit today at work. I had a busy day, and it was just like, damn, like, you can do this. Listen to what this guy's done. Listen to what this guy's life has been like. And I don't know, it's just an amazing episode. And I would love if you could get him on the podcast again, possibly. That would be amazing.
I need to talk to him, because that's what I was getting ready to say is like, I only had a allotted amount of time because he's a very busy person.
Right.
So like I had to cut it off at a certain point. We kind of got a little bit of a late start because of trouble logging in and stuff. And like, he was on Jocko's for like 3 hours. He was on Andy Stump's for like 2 hours. Like, they got into some stuff that I don't necessarily have the knowledge to get into more of the military side of things that those guys do, but like there's just so much more. I feel like you could dive in with him. Like, you could sit there and talk to that guy for 5 hours and not know where time went, probably. Like, because you're probably going to be sitting there going, like, I'm not done. Like, I have so many more questions for you, like, or just things to talk about. But that's definitely one of like my personal favorite episodes I've ever had. And it was funny too, kind of going back a little bit, that Reno, that you talked about forgot re-recording. I was listening, like, I finally got around to listening to the Hold My Beer episode after I edit. I mean, I've already listened to it because I edited it, but actually I go through and re-listen to them all, and I kind of rate myself when I'm recording or listening, so I can, like, that's how it's like watching film for me. Like, I sit there and listen to what I'm doing. But and I was thinking about it as well. It is weird because, like, you do forget you're recording, and like you kind of get, especially with like the headphones on, and all you hear is each other talking essentially. So like, you're sitting there and you literally kind of go to a different world when you're recording. And I think that's one of the reasons I really love this podcast. It's kind of nice sometimes. Like, that's why I love hunting. It's very similar to me, where you don't have necessarily a care in the world when you're doing this, because you're not thinking about a million other things. You're just kind of thinking about truly in the moment what's going on at that moment.
Yeah,
like,
dude.
Building off that a little bit, I feel like a couple times I've been on the pod, and I kind of, like, have you ever had those moments where you're like laying in bed at night, you're like, damn, what did I actually say on the podcast? Or like, should I have said that? It's like kind of like a little bit of anxiety of like, hey, should I have said that? But I think the cool thing with this podcast is like we don't.
What do you mean? Like getting in fights with like Snapchat AI?
Yeah, like it's something like that, man. Or yeah, it's just like the thing about this podcast though is we don't. It's not scripted by any means. This is just us talking. It's just us having a good time. It's us being ourselves, and I think that's what really drives this podcast to what it is us just like, hey, it's guys being dudes. So we're just being ourselves. This is our everyday conversation. If we weren't recording, we'd probably have the same conversation about me getting in an argument with Snapchat AI, you know? It's like, it's amazing, and I love it. And I don't know. I love this podcast, man.
Yeah, dude. I think one of the biggest things that I like about this podcast is like kind of our target audience, which I think like inadvertently is like the young adult kind of age, like a little bit post college or post high school, like kind of that age where we kind of got to figure stuff out like on our own a little bit. Like we're just now learning adulthood and we're going through different experiences, and how is that affecting our day to day? Maybe some of us are starting to have kids, we're getting different jobs, we're moving along, we're buying houses, we're getting pets, like different things that are coming at you that you weren't necessarily taught. And it's kind of cool seeing everybody's different angle that they take on how where they're at right now versus where they were, how they thought, like, you know, they thought when they were in high school or in college, you know, oh, I'm so mature, I know what I'm doing, blah, blah, blah. And then once that ends, it's like you lose structure and you kind of got to rebuild your day-to-day structure. You got to rebuild your life structure a little bit. And it's hard. It's intimidating. It's like you don't really know what to do. Like, are you making the right move? Are you at the right place of work? Are you with the right person? There's so much that goes on in your head that you try to figure out. And I think that's what we try to answer, at least, or not necessarily answer, but kind of give a guideline on what we've gone through. Maybe that's going to help you out. Maybe it's like, hey, you don't do this. Or it's like, hey, this worked really well for me. Try it out for yourself. So I think that kind of young adult sort of area. And for me, being a couple years older than you guys, like it's cool listening to how you guys are figuring it out too, because I look back and I'm like, oh my God, like I remember when, you know, I had to get my first job, or those first days out of college, you're kind of like, okay, I graduated college. You know, now what am I supposed to do with this? Like there's kind of that empty feeling that you're scared about, low key. Like you don't know what to do. And then things just start falling into place and it feels good. And now you're figuring stuff out and you're getting more confidence with your day to day. You're meeting new people. Then like you're starting a whole different branch of your life. And just, you know, those small things that we always talk about just help you out. And because you're going to get totally overwhelmed with everything that's happening. But like, how do you deal with that kind of stuff? And we're just giving you our, like, what we've done to deal with some of that stuff.
Well, and I think the fact that we're real about it, like we go through it too. Like, and you know, sometimes we don't have the answer to it. We have maybe what we think or what we've tried, and maybe it works temporarily, or maybe it's because of my lack of discipline or whatever it is. Like we give like real stuff. And I think it's good to hear, like when, especially since me and Dante are the same age, like when we talk about things sometimes and it's like the same problems and you're like, it's kind of like a little bit of a weight has lifted off your shoulders. Cause you're like, all right, I'm not like, you kind of feel like you're the only person that, you know, doesn't have their life figured out. No, you're really not supposed to have your life figured out when you're 24, 25. Even it takes a while to really. I bet you could ask a 60-year-old, a 100-year-old, like, do you have life figured out? And they'd be like, no, like you don't figure it out. You just go with it. You just go with what you are given, and you just try to make the best of it. And like that's just. And you're right. Our target audience, not what I guess inadvertently our target audience. Our main group is 23 to 27, but our widespread, like our biggest listening group is 18 to 34. Like, so you're right, like that young adult like really in that stage of life of what's next, and like those questions that you said, like, am I in the right job? Am I the right like being the best person at this and that? Like, those are questions that I ask myself probably once a month. At the very least, like that, like it's normal to have those thoughts. And honestly, I think it's a very good thing to have those thoughts, because you're not just coasting, you're truly trying, you're truly thinking like, am I being the best? Like, am I doing the right things? Because if you have to sit down, you sometimes look yourself in the mirror and realize like, man, I'm not doing this right, or I'm not doing this right, or I need to change this, or hey, you are doing this right. Good for you. So I agree with you 100%.
It's fun, man. It's fun figuring this life out.
Another day,
Not
another dollar.
always.
It's fun.
Sometimes it sucks, but it's the rewards is what makes it fun. Like, you're gonna have highs and lows. Those highs are what's fun. Try to make as many highs as you can. Like, really, honestly, like, why would you try? Like, you can't avoid the lows. Like, they're bound to happen. But take that low and just make it another high. Once you go down, the only thing left to do is go up.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So,
Clip that. No, just kidding.
the clipping thing has been a lot lately. That is something that we need in this podcast is a social media person. Dante, you want to do it?
Dude,
You
I'll
only have to make
definitely.
like 30 clips a week.
As long as you can schedule them, man, that's golden.
I've had trouble with that lately for some reason. There's a couple posts that I posted that were supposed to, like, I went in and did the scheduling thing. Went in and did the scheduling thing, and then I'd like hit schedule and it'd share it. And I was like, what? And it was like, you've reached your max of 25 this week. And I'm like, this is Monday. There's no way.
Right. That's weird.
But yeah, you guys got any questions from me, or do we just want to? You got anything else you guys want to add to this, or do we just want to make this a quick?
What's your favorite episodes? Hit us with yours.
Yeah.
Definitely, like, so the Hold My Beer one that we just did, and that was the episode. So I have this new like podcast notebook thing where it's mainly so like when I'm editing, I can write down like timestamps for clips and things. But it also at the bottom it has like a rating, like a star of like entertainment, knowledge, and overall. And ever since I've got this, and no offense to anybody, because sometimes I rate them and they are completely wrong, like I like viewer wise, or like I go back and listen to them and I'm like, oh wait, no, this was way better than I thought it was. But like I rated that one as I was editing it. Like that's the only one I've done since I've got this notebook that it was 5.55. Every one of them was 5 because that was what it was entertaining. There was a ton of knowledge. And overall, I think like, yes, there's probably points in the episode where people are like, all right, move on, let's go. Like you're going to have that in any podcast you listen to. So it's normal, but that was just one of the most fun episodes to be a part of. Even though it was 3 hours long, it was fun to edit, and I'm listening to it essentially for a third time now. So I'm about 3/4 of the way through it, which is it was funny too, because I told my brother when I was the day I was going to edit it, he was like, what do you got? I was at his house. He's like, what are you getting into today? I was like, oh, I got to edit an episode. He's like, oh, that won't be too bad. I was like, yeah, it's 3 hours. He's like, what? And I was like, Reno and Dante. He's like, you guys went for 3 hours? And I was like, it was a drinking episode. And he was like, that makes sense. And I was like, no. Like, yes, it was a drinking episode, but there was a lot of good stuff in this episode. Like, it was not just your typical, well, I don't want to say typical drinking episode, but like, it just went a little bit of the extra. It was nothing compared to the 3-hour episode with me, you and Scott, where I don't think there was a common sense thing talked about in that episode. But it was definitely fun. But that one was one of my favorites. Definitely the Nick Lavery. Some of my personal like things too, back when I think it was like episode like in the 50s probably. I had Granger Smith's tour manager on and his bus drivers, and I also had who was the marketing director at the time for Yee Apparel, which I don't pay attention to it as much anymore, but I used to love Granger Smith and every like Yee Apparel. I always wore Yee stuff, and
Heck yeah.
like that was like a personal like cool thing for me to do. Just some of the connection side of things, Justin and Randy from American Hero Hunt, who are local here in Newark area. They take veterans on hunts, and they were on the podcast, and I've built a relationship with them. I've golfed in their golf outing for 2 years and sponsored a hole 2 years in a row there. So like that's one of my favorite things I think about this podcast is the fact that, and it's not just for me necessarily, but the connections you get through talking to people. Like Reno, you've talked about it. The best way to build your communication skills is to just talk to people, whether it's the gas station attendant or somebody random on the side of the street or your coworker or whatever. Like, just talk. Like, in just talking to people, like Dante, we've talked about it. I was not the most talkative person there was. Like, I wasn't necessarily shy, but I wasn't like the outspoken person. And I don't still view myself as outspoken, but if a random person comes up and tries to have a conversation with me now, it's a lot easier because I talk to random people pretty often now. It's a pretty common thing for me. So yeah, those are some of my personal favorites. There's definitely a lot. Like, every episode has its own special place. Like, every person I have a relationship with, they're all different than others, and just personal favorites. But yeah, those are definitely some of my favorite episodes for sure.
It's fun, man. It's fun getting to know people. It's fun, like, hearing their side of it too. Because, like, how much did you know about veterans these guys taking veterans on hunts? Probably really didn't know it, like, existed. Like, you've probably heard of it, but then having someone actually explain how it works and what it does, like, how freaking cool is that? Or even like a small band who's starting to come up, like Low Gap. Like, it's kind of cool, hearing those guys, hearing their story, and really started from nothing, rinky dink part of the state that you never heard of, and now they got like 80,000 streams on one of their songs or something crazy like that.
Yeah, they're actually, I follow them on Instagram. They are on one of their songs is going to be on. It's like a touch, like remember the old games where you like played the piano thing and it was like music and you had to like type, click it as fast as possible. They're going to be on. There's a new app coming out. It's like the country version of it, and their songs on it.
Wow.
It's about to be on Guitar Hero from Rock Band.
Yeah. They need to bring those games back.
They do.
I know.
Those I still have. That is the only reason I still have a Wii, is so I can play, Rock Band, Guitar Hero, and the Just Dances. Don't judge me, all right? I like to dance.
Well, that's how I got into drumming. Because I don't know, do you guys know I'm a drummer?
Yeah,
I did not.
You were in a band.
Yeah, so I was
you
in a
did
band.
Like, battle the bands and stuff at walk-ins too, didn't you?
Yes, we did battle. That's actually how Brittany and I met. Was doing battle the bands.
Huh.
We figured out that, like, she could sing. We're like, hey, why don't you do a song with us, like, in battle the bands? And she'd come over and practice, and we'd do all that, and I'd just kind of be like, what's up? And then that's how that's how it happened. But like playing rock band, like, because I was doing like expert on the drums, and I'm like, what if I got a real kit and like try doing it this way? So what I do is put Rock Band in like practice mode, so you can't fail, and I put it up on the TV, and I'd be playing my real drums, like my real drum kit, as the Rock Band was playing. That's how I learned a ton of the songs, because I'm all self-taught. I don't know how to read music or anything, but like fully self-taught thanks to Rock Band.
Wow, that's amazing.
Now I sold my kit and I almost cried, but
you can't necessarily do that when with Guitar Hero and a real guitar. It doesn't quite work the same, but
yeah, no, it wouldn't work like that.
Yeah, because I have a guitar that's been sitting here. Well, it's Sierra's, and I started learning how to play it, I think, 3 times, and then like I get busy with things, and like it's not on my priority list of things that I need to do, so it gets pushed down, and then I kind of forget about it. But like I still know a few chords, so like I'll come down every so often, or I'll be editing an episode, and I'll like, because it sits right beside my desk, so I'll like grab it and just like strum it a few times, and I'm like, I really need to get back into it. I always felt like it'd be cool to know how to play an instrument.
I told Brittany, I was like, I want an electric set for Christmas. We'll see, Brett, if you're listening. Come on now, hook it up.
But you guys got anything else to add before we just close this episode out?
Hey, other than cheers to the Roughnecks Podcast. It's honestly still just getting started. This is just the beginning.
Yeah.
A lot of giant things in the making, a lot of very fun memories to be made. But yeah, honestly, I just want to thank everyone who's tuned in to this point, even if it's not every episode, just someone who's tuning in consistently, because that's all that matters is all the support and all the people that support the podcast. And yeah, I just appreciate both of you and every viewer that's ever listened to the podcast. Y'all are the reason that this podcast is what it is.
Dang, well said. I ain't gonna top that.
It is crazy too. Like what you said is like, people that have tuned in or just started listening. I know somebody who was at that volleyball tournament, and like I've known him from before. They used to live by my brother, but he was like, "Yeah, I started listening to your podcast." I was like, "Hey, yeah, where'd you start?" He goes, "Episode 1." He's listening all the way through every
Woo!
episode. I'm like, holy crap, you got a lot of content to listen to. But
Wow.
it's funny because like I'll see him and he'll, because I actually saw him at the BMV. It was, I may have forgot that you need to get a new license when you turn 25, so my license may have been expired for a minute. So I was there and I was sitting there, and I didn't see him because he was like standing like kind of behind me, and he came up and tapped me on the shoulder. He's like, "What's up, man?" And we got started talking. And he was like telling me about. He's like, "Man, that episode with such and such," and he was like, "Yeah, she like," and I was like, "Yeah, this and that," and he'd say something, and I'm like, "Dude, that was like 100 episodes ago. Like, I don't remember everything I said."
So cool. That's so cool. That's so
It
cool.
is. I don't care, like, if you just now started tuning in or if you have listened all the way through or however many episodes you listen to. If you've listened, I do appreciate every single view. Like, we all do. The listeners are the reason that we just kind of keep going with this. Like, it's just, maybe the day that we start getting 0 listens, we'll quit doing it. But we don't get 0 listens, so we're just I don't care if we have 5 or if we have 500. We're going to keep putting content out there, keep getting things out to you guys. So 3 years of the podcast, really appreciate it. Really appreciate you guys, all the listeners. But we got a new episode out tomorrow. It is a Q&A with Sierra. So she threw a question on me that I really didn't.
They didn't like?
No, I did not like it.
Oh,
I'll tell you guys after, but I won't spoil it for tomorrow's episode. But yeah, she threw a question at me because I'm going to start something new where, like, in the middle of it, the guest and me, like, we throw a question at each other. Like, all right, I'm going to ask you a question, and then they ask it back, like a different question back or whatever. So yeah, that's something I was going to start, and I shouldn't have started it with her apparently because she threw one at me, and I was like, seriously, that's your question? Like, of all questions you could ask, this is the one. I can't even answer this question, so I'm not giving you an answer. So, but until tomorrow's episode, Q&A Friday, number 11 with Sierra, Dante, Reno, thank you guys. Until tomorrow, you guys know the deal. Life is hard, and it's going to knock you down just like a bull does to a bull rider. Don't let that bull of life walk all over you. Get up, grab the bull by the horns, and take control of your life. Roughnecks, out.